This is Dina Deleasa Gonser, and you're listening to the Radical Radiance Podcast.
Dina, I am so excited to welcome you to the show today. Thank you for being with me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me on. I feel like such a celebrity because I've been listening
Oh
for
my
the past
goodness.
couple weeks, and I'm like, ooh, I get to be on the podcast now. So I am really excited.
Oh, this is so fun. I say all the time, one of my favorite things about this job is getting to celebrate my friends when their books come out. And it's just a good opportunity. Like a lot of times I'll be like, oh, I need to catch up with her. And she's having a book come out. So it's like the way I keep up with all my friends and get to celebrate their
Yeah,
work. And
yes.
so I am so excited to chat about your new book today. It is called At the Kitchen Sink. Came out a couple months ago. It is
Mhm.
absolutely beautiful. I
Thank
got to
you.
endorse this book, which is so fun, and
Yay!
got to kind of preview it early.
Mhm.
And I think it's such a, which we can talk more about this, like such a sweet thing because it's like, yes, a cookbook and yes, a devotional. It's kind of both, which I love and I think is so rare. And so we get to learn from you and experience things with you in the kitchen and then also be encouraged by you throughout the book as well. So again, as I said, it's called At the Kitchen Sink, which is such a great title, such a fun title. And so I would love to start by just having you share kind of the heartbeat behind the book. You mix recipes and devotionals kind of
Sure.
seamlessly throughout the book. So how did that idea kind of come together?
So I love how you say seamlessly because it did not
It
feel
didn't feel that way.
seamless. Yeah, everyone was just like, this is weird. This has not really been done before. Like, I felt like everyone was like, how are you going to do this? I don't know what it's going to look like. Like, my food team, which I had like a wonderful photographer and food stylist, they're friends of mine. And they were kind of like, we understand the food. We have no idea what the
Yeah.
devotionals look like. Some people were like, oh, are you doing like, pancakes and prayer? I'm like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's not going to be like that. But I also don't know exactly how that, I would say, structuring the book and the table of contents, things like that. That was the newest thing to me as an author.
Yeah.
I can write recipes, pick out my favorites,
Yeah.
this, that, and the other thing, create a menu, but to um, understand or know that you understand how to put a book together from beginning to end and make it all make
Yeah.
sense was really daunting to me, was really scary to me, but I knew the Lord was going to make it all fall into place. And when I had the opportunity to write this cookbook, my biggest thought was kind of like how things work for me on Instagram. I just don't like the idea of just putting something aesthetically pleasing in front of people or just giving people a highlight reel. And so
Yeah.
I'm very careful to want to make sure someone who hops over to my little corner of the world is getting an example of what life looks like in the in between, not
Yeah.
just in those photo perfect moments. So when I thought of being able to hand people a book, finally a tangible piece of myself, I wanted it to be something that not only sat on their kitchen counters and served as like, I wish I could make this meal. I wish my kitchen looked like hers. Oh, I wish my family looked like this in family pictures. No, I didn't want any of that. I
Yeah.
was like, here's my opportunity to grab that person at the kitchen sink because that's where I'd been many times and still am throughout
Yeah.
life with your back turned to your family or and just like you're thinking you're washing dishes and maybe sometimes like you're crying about something or maybe
Yeah.
you're like, how am I going to make it to the end of the day or how am I going to make it through this full day? What am I going to do when I get to work? Just all those things that weigh heavy on our hearts. And I just wanted to be able to come alongside
Mm.
someone, not in front of them, but
Yeah.
alongside them and be able to encourage them that wherever God has them at that moment, it's not mundane. It's
Yeah.
not marvelous. Those little things that we're doing every day, whether it's in our homes, out in our community, in work, like those are the bricks that we're laying the foundations for his kingdom. And that
Yeah.
is not to be taken lightly. And
Yeah.
while that's a heavy message for maybe a
Yeah.
cookbook, I really wanted to not miss that chance to
Yeah.
give that to somebody.
Yeah, I love that so much because so much happens in the kitchen and you're really
Mm-hmm.
meeting your readers in those moments that they're already having. You're just choosing to
Yeah,
join them there, which is really sweet.
100%.
And
Yeah.
I love that so much. You have walked through so much in the last few years that I believe, like, as your friend, has it no doubt prepared you to write some of the
Hmm.
messages in this book, but you've walked through so much postpartum, the beginning of motherhood, so many
Yeah.
things. And I just wonder, like, how, as you kind of look back, how do you feel that God has used those seasons to shape what ended up becoming the book?
I think that is one of the most amazing parts of walking with the Lord is that you can see his hand in every part of your journey. And I know that sounds very cliche, and sometimes that like
Sure.
annoys me that something is cliche. But had I written this book at the beginning of my career, per se, it
Yeah.
probably would have looked very different. I probably wouldn't have added the devotionals, and I wouldn't have been in that place, in that space. Not that I haven't always been walking with the Lord, but
Yeah.
when I had Sienna 8 years ago and I went through that emergency situation, the NICU, and then the depression and anxiety
Yeah.
that I was diagnosed with, that changed the trajectory of what I was doing with the little business that I had, Dish It
Yeah.
Girl. And I just could not live publicly without being honest.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't lie.
Yeah.
I can't lie. And I couldn't help but start talking about what I was going through. And I felt like if that's like the big thing about being a Christian and being a believer, if I only show people what A and Z look like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
had a hard time here, but this is where God delivered me. I feel like
Yeah.
for new people who are interested or new believers, they're probably like, well, what did it look like in the middle? Like when you like
Yeah.
weren't sure, if you could hang on. So I thought, all right, this is what I can do with this is I can show what it looks like in the middle and how I reach for the Lord. Not what happens after I
Yeah.
reach and it's all good, but like how I'm doing it through my tears, through my struggle. And, to my surprise, there were so many people struggling with
Yeah.
things like that. And so that brought a whole new purpose to what I was doing. It was no longer just writing recipes. It was, I started writing mini devotionals, and I was calling it Dishspiration.
I love
That
that.
was almost
Yeah.
the title of the book too, because I'd held
Yeah.
on to that for so long. And then actually when I signed my book contract, um, oh, it was a couple weeks later that I got diagnosed with cancer. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, I'm like, it was thyroid cancer,
Yeah.
just for anyone who doesn't know. And that happens at the same time you have this big like career move. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? So of course, at first I was like, hold on, Lord, like you just gave me this. And now you want me to do this while I'm sick, essentially? Like, how is this
Yeah.
going to work? But then when I slowed down and sat with him after a couple of days, I realized it was just going to give me an ability to cast a wider net. Like now I
Yeah.
could speak into a different place, speak to a whole new person who I couldn't before having that experience. And
Yeah.
just as a side note, I feel like recently the Lord's been saying, like, don't, we all think that we can't cast a net, that
Yeah.
we maybe don't have the ability, but everybody walks through different things at different times in different ways. No one story is exactly the same. So you don't
Yeah.
know what piece someone else needs or what piece is going to encourage someone else to turn to the Lord. So it's important. It's important to share that and always know that there is some piece of your story that God is going to use to impact another person.
Yeah. So, so good. So good. Well, I'm so grateful that you said yes to him. And even despite the craziness that came after,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I think I've seen God use that in you, and so I'm so grateful. And I also want to talk about the fun part of the book, which is the food. So I would love to hear you kind of riff on, like, is there a recipe in the book that you could just make in your sleep that you're so glad that now you get to share with the world, or maybe that you crave a
Yeah.
lot? And then I would love to hear, like, as people are getting the book, is there one that you see people making a lot this
Yeah.
summer? Like, talk to me about all that.
Sure. So I mean, look, I love to eat all things. I'm
You and me
always
both,
dreaming.
girl. Yeah.
I know. I'm always dreaming about some type of food. Like there's nothing's off limits. I would say I was super excited to put, and this isn't even anything like breaking. It's
Yeah.
baked penne vodka.
Yes. It's
So
on my short list to make soon. I'm
I mean,
excited.
it takes your regular penne vodka and it just adds like a load more cheese in it. It bakes it up.
Yes.
And there's no one who's sad when they dig into that. And I really could, like, my dream is in heaven one day, I'm going to get to eat a whole tray and it's going to be fine. Like, nothing's going to happen.
That's right. That's
I
right.
don't have to go for a run after nothing. I'm just
No.
going to sit down and eat that whole tray. I mean, I pretty much almost do now. So I
Yeah.
don't know. But that's one thing. Yeah, I can make that in my sleep. Anytime someone's like not feeling well, or someone's
Mhm.
had a new baby, or someone just needs some extra care, baked penne vodka is on the doorstep.
Yeah.
It'll feed you for a week.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe
For
it.
sure, for sure. And then let's see. I saw you made the cookie butter pie, and that's another one
Okay.
of my favorites.
I would like to tell you, Dina, I have made the cookie butter pie 3 times.
Oh no, it's
It
dangerous.
is my like go-to cookout summer party
It's
situation.
easy.
It's
It's
so easy and it's
easy.
so good.
Yeah, you like can't mess that up. The only way you
No.
can mess it up is eating it all before you bring it where you need to go.
Yes, exactly.
And I am just not fussy desserts. Like, I've been cooking this whole time. I don't need to fuss super hard with desserts. So it has to be easy for me.
Yeah.
I will say, as people are getting the book, I have two different reactions
Yeah.
that I'm getting. On one hand, people are very surprised by the devotionals. They're like, I didn't realize all this was in here, and
Yeah.
it's really impacting them in a special way. So it's like the sleeper hit,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
they say, and I love that. But then most surprisingly, these lemon coconut oat muffins,
Okay, that one
I
is
just
on my
like
list
threw them in there, and
too.
I was like, whatever with these. Like, we need another breakfast recipe. I made them last minute,
Okay.
tested them a couple times. I'm like, fine, let's just like put these in because I can't think anymore.
Yeah.
And that's like, people are
And
like, I
people
just
love
made
them.
these. I'm like, are you serious? Another one is the meatloaf. That's another
Okay.
one. Like, who gets excited about meatloaf? Like,
Oh, I do. I love a good
nobody.
meatloaf.
Good. Yes, I know. Good meatloaf is great. But this
Yeah.
one has a caramelized onion gravy with
Oh,
it. And I think people are just surprised that meatloaf can
yeah.
be so good.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
those are
love that.
some surprising ones that I'm
Yeah.
getting messages about. Also, apple cider chicken sandwiches. Those are going to be a
Ooh.
favorite come the fall, but some people are trying them out before the season hits,
Yeah.
and they're excited about those as well.
Yeah. I love that so much. Yeah. I got my mom a copy for Mother's Day.
Oh,
And
that's so sweet.
so okay, I remember when you and I first met and connected, and I just loved you so much when I came and spoke at the She Lives Fearless
Yes, yes.
conferences a couple
That
years
was a good
ago.
time.
So much fun. And I remember coming home and I was telling mom about those couple of events and I was telling her about you. And she remembers you from oh gosh, I'm going to butcher the
Married
name
to
of the TV show.
Jonas?
Yes, she was a
She's a
huge Married to Jonas fan.
That cracks
And
me up.
and I remember when I've never told you this, but when I first told her about you, she was like, "Wait, Dina? Dina on Married with Jonas? I
Oh
used to love when she was on the show." And you would have thought that I had went and met like the president of the
no,
United States.
Funny.
Like she
Wow.
just loves you.
That's
And
so sweet.
I know, and she was so excited when I told her that you were working on a cookbook. And
So
so
funny.
it came out right before Mother's Day. And
Yes.
so I got her a copy and we flipped through it like front to back together when I was at
Oh,
their house about a month
I
ago.
love that you guys had that moment.
I
That makes me so
know.
happy.
I know. And she loved all the pictures. She was so excited. And
Aw,
we flipped through it and kind of like dog eared all these recipes that we're
I
hoping to
love
try.
that.
So she actually tried the cookie butter pie before I did and made it for my dad, and they loved it.
Oh,
And I think it was Memorial Day that I had a couple weeks later, and she knew I
yeah,
was going to try to
yeah.
make it for that. And yeah, we've loved ticking through some of the
That's
recipes.
so
So
great. I
it's
love
so
that
fun.
that created a moment where you were sitting there with your mom and you were going through, like, spending that time together. And that's really what you
So
hope
fun.
for with a book like this, is not only that it's just me to the person, but it
Yeah.
encourages them to share with other people in their
Yes.
lives.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Well, speaking of gathering people, entertaining people, cooking, I would love to hear kind of your perspective. If somebody's listening and they're thinking, okay, I love entertaining people, but it feels really overwhelming in my life.
Yeah.
And like, I want to be that girl, but that doesn't feel like me. What
Yeah.
encouragement would you want to give her?
Gosh, there's so much because even in the question, there's like so much to
Yeah.
unpack because I hear what you're saying. Like, I want to be that girl. And we all have this image in our mind. I mean, look, even I do most days
Yeah.
of like that girl or that woman or that person that we want to emulate. Maybe for our moms, it was Martha Stewart
Yeah.
and or Ina, or maybe it's Giada. It's like whoever that person is, you have to quickly like dismantle. Like, yes, they're gonna give you some good ideas, but you're not living their life in their home
Yeah.
around their people. Like, I'm not living in the Hamptons with beautiful hydrangea bushes, so I'm
That's
not gonna be
right.
able to go outside, cut those off.
Waiting for Jeffrey to get home.
Yeah, I mean, look, I would love that. I mean, I have to just walk around every day in a button-up chambray shirt. Like, I would
That's
never wear
right.
anything else. I don't want to mess with anything else. And it's good. It's good to be inspired and have those aspirational. But I think a lot of us do get caught up in like, I want it to be that way. I want it
Yeah.
to look that way. And we know it can't always be that way. But I think with the rise of social media, we're seeing what looks like so many more people being able to
Yeah.
do it that way without realizing maybe the help they have behind the scenes or the means that
Yeah.
they have behind the scenes. And that is not what makes gathering valuable.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like having to change your mindset instead of wanting to entertain like Martha, wanting to entertain like you. And what is it that you have surrounding you? And what is it that's comfortable for you to give? Because once you start doing that, you only build upon it anyway.
Yeah.
And letting go some of those narratives that you've placed on yourself is really going to free up your mind space to be able to
Mhm.
plan to get together. And then also, what point are you at in your life? Are you someone with like, two littles running around the house and you're not even sure like how you're going to survive till 8 p.m. That's not the time to be planning like a fancy dinner party. That's
Yeah.
the time to be like, maybe I can make a cup of coffee for another friend to come over, buy some Entenmann's pound cake from the store,
Yeah.
like, or, if you really want to make something, take those bananas that are dying and,
Make
throw
those
it into a
muffins.
banana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make those muffins or whatever. And that's about it. That's about it. Or it could be where you have a quiet Friday night and you're able to pop some popcorn and just sit on the couch
Yeah.
with someone. So you have to think of it, you want to meet yourself
Yeah.
where you're at.
Yeah.
And I think we forget to do that. Meet yourself where you're at. Don't do something that feels like it's going to cost you everything if you do it, because then you'll never do it. So start
Yeah.
small and start where you're at.
Yeah, that's such good advice. I love that so much. I wonder, as you kind of reflect back on the whole process of writing the book, was there a topic that you wrote about that just felt really personal, or it helped you in your healing process to write about it? Kind of in reflecting
Sure.
back, you realize, like, oh, God used that in my life.
There were so many times where I was writing a devotional where I was struck with, wait, did I just write this like for myself? Or
Yeah.
like, wait, are you trying to tell me something in this moment? And I
Yeah.
will say that God's timing is perfect. Like, while nobody wants cancer, I'm not
Yeah.
saying like, oh, that was
Totally.
like the perfect thing to happen. But I was so much in the word because I was studying like double time to be able to write these devotionals, that I was so immersed in
Yeah.
in everything that he had to say, because I was reading and writing devotionals at the time that I was going through surgeries after surgery,
Yeah.
going through treatment and in isolation because of radiation. And I realized his timing is perfect, because had I not had this project, it's not that I wouldn't have been walking with him through it, but this was the perfect place for my mind to be, which
Yeah.
was just immersed in writing these devotionals. And a lot of them came from that personal place. A lot of them came from the valley,
Yeah.
and the trudge up to, I don't even know if I've ever really reached a mountaintop, per
Yeah.
se. But a lot of it came from me walking hand in hand in real time. And there, I have one in there. A lot of it is written from Exodus, where
Mm.
um, Moses is like, we typically picture him as like a Bible hero,
Yeah.
which is true, and we imagine him parting the Red Sea and just like going boldly. But there was a time where he was questioning God. Like he was
Yeah.
actually going back and forth with him in Exodus chapter 3. So this is me paraphrasing like a whole
Yeah.
ton. So forgive me, but he's not really demonstrating the bold behavior that you would think of someone parting the Red Sea. And, God spoke to Moses through the burning bush, which I always ask God for. I'm like, can you please just set
Yeah.
some of my lawn on fire and like let me know that this is the way I want to go? But it actually wasn't confirmation enough for Moses. And he kept saying, like, Lord, if I go tell the Israelites what you're saying, like, they're not going to believe me. They're going to make fun of me. And God was like, go do it. And
Yeah.
he would come back at him and be like, Lord, I really don't think I'm the person for this. Almost trying to talk God out of calling him. And I think so many times, like, we think we're unqualified, or we
Yeah.
believe that whole litany of lies of what we can't do, what's not possible in this world. And God is like, I'm just asking you to go and do this one thing. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that if I'm sending you, I'm going to equip you. And we argue with
Yeah.
him, just kind of like Moses. And that struck me in that chapter. And the way God answered him at the end, I think I'll read it
Yeah.
here. It's in Exodus 3:14. And God said to Moses, I am who I am, and what I am, and I will be what I will be. And he said, you shall say this to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. And it's just such a powerful statement from the Lord. It's like mic drop. Like that's what
Yeah.
I felt when I read it,
Yeah.
that he just like dropped the mic on me there. And, I am the daughter of the great I am. Like, end of
Yeah.
story. So, in moments where I feel like I'm not enough, or that something is too trivial, that God couldn't have called
Mm.
me this way, or this is never going to happen. Like, I can't, I'm not supposed to be working in my own strength. I'm working in
Yeah.
the strength of the great I am. And if he says this is the way it's going to be, that's the way.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to be.
Yeah. Oh, amen. I feel like we could just end the podcast right
Yeah.
there.
Mic drop. Yes. It's like God was the original mic dropper.
That's right. That's right. So, so, so good. Well, if one of our friends is listening right now and they pressed play because they were excited to get to know you or the message of this book, but also they're kind of proverbially standing at their kitchen sink right now, a
Yeah.
little kind of maxed out with life. I wonder what would kind of be your parting encouragement to them as they finish the episode.
I would say tell him about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to give that answer of like, God can use any, like he can. And
Yeah,
like, don't worry,
absolutely.
there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, but I want to be honest about the walk you're going to have to take to
Yeah.
get through that tunnel. And that if there's not just light at the end of the tunnel, he shines that light through it. Oh,
Yeah.
and just instead of picking up a shovel and burying yourself in that pit, grab onto the hem of his garment, grab onto his hand, and
Yeah.
let him make that apparent to you. Like he can take it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't go towards him because we don't want to tell him those deepest, darkest, yuckiest parts that we're feeling. Like when I was
Yeah.
feeling the depression, or when I was feeling the fear going into surgery, like I had to hand that over
Yeah.
to him because he's not afraid of it. He's not
Yeah.
afraid of it. He's not going to get mad at me because of my human weakness.
Right.
He wants me to, that's a form of surrender and obedience that he wants me to
Yeah.
practice. Don't let it fester in you, even if it's every day, every hour, every 5 minutes. Lay it on him so he
Yeah.
can work with you. That's what he
Yeah.
wants. That's how you form like that relationship. He's
Yeah.
not some figurehead that is just waiting for you. We say that all the time, waiting for you to package it up. I mean, like really, really let him drag you.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
say. Really let him drag you.
Yeah. Yeah. I always go back to the Psalms when I think about this
Hmm.
conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so encouraging to read through so many of the psalmists and David just crying out to the Lord and being
Yeah.
really honest
Yeah.
about what they're
Yeah.
going through. And I think, so many times in our earthly relationships, we do that, right? We're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're good. We're busy, but we're
Yeah.
fine. We're
Yeah.
good. Summer's
Yeah.
busy." And we're not
Yeah.
we don't find a place where we can be really honest with the
Yeah.
really challenging parts of our lives. And so then it's no surprise that we kind of apply the same principle onto our relationship with the Lord. So I love what you're saying of like, hey, you have full permission. He already knows what's in your
Yeah.
heart,
Yeah.
right? And so like let's get there faster by just the
Yeah.
willingness to go
For
before him.
sure. And also ask him for his eyes. So many times
Yes.
when I'm like
Yes.
deep in something, I'm like, okay, I have to do something different than I'm doing every day, which is staying on this merry-go-round of like always, never, should, like all those
Yes.
statements. And I have to really dig into because I'm in that moment even now. Like it
Yeah.
happens over and over again. And I have to dig into how can we see this situation through God's eyes today? Because it's not always quite as bad and as impossible as I imagine
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
there's still good in every day. We just kind of start to choose not to see it because we're so buried. We're so buried in like the lies that Satan wants to
Mhm.
distract us so hard. And we
Yeah.
just have to go even harder.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so good. Well, I'm so excited for our friends to learn about how they can connect with you, grab the book, all the things here in just a moment. But I always ask every guest that comes on the Radical Radiance podcast the same question. And it goes back to just God's heart for this as I was starting it. He kept pointing me back to this verse in Psalm
Yeah.
34, verse 5. It says, "Those who look to him are radiant and their faces are never covered in shame." And so the question I love asking all my guests is, in this season of your life, what about Jesus makes you radiant?
I think it's the fact that he is the same today, yesterday, and
Mm,
forever. He is so, I mean, there's so many things,
yeah.
but the fact that when everything else is so chaotic
Yeah.
all of the time, like his promises are steadfast, his mercies are new, like, and that it doesn't matter what you're going through, what the world
Yeah.
is going through, what you think is good and right, what you think is possible, he supersedes all of that, and that will never change. He is the
Mm,
great I am.
yeah.
And and that's it. And just having that, just knowing, like, no matter, I've gone through some pretty heavy things, and at the end of the day, to say it doesn't matter what the percentages are, that the doctors give me in the
Yeah.
doctor's office, he will have the final say. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if this doesn't go my way, he's still going to find a way to take care of me, take care of my family. It might not look like the way the way I wanted it to,
Yeah.
but he is still going to take care of me, redeem my time, redeem my family, my life, and that, I don't know. I guess that gives me like that God confidence, and
Yeah.
that's the radiating you would see if there ever is any.
Oh,
That's
and
what it
there
would be.
is.
That's
Yes.
what it would be.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. Well, I would love for you to share with our friends where can they connect with you, grab the book, all of those things after they finish the conversation.
Sure. So, I mean, I'm always cooking on Instagram
Yes.
and running my mouth. Brian and Sienna are always jumping in and driving me
Yes.
crazy. And you could find me Dish It Girl Dina
Yep.
on Instagram and tune in if you like chaos. Um, I have dishitgirl.com, which houses some of my older recipes, and you can find anything new that's going on with me. Links to purchase the book. You can find the book on Amazon, like everything else on this planet,
Yes.
and Barnes and Nobles, Target.com, good old Walmart,
Yep. All the places.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, well, I'm so grateful. This has been such a fun conversation. I cannot wait to introduce all my people to you and just grateful for you, friend. Thanks for being with me
Thank
today.
you, Rebecca. It's been such a gift getting to know you over these past couple of years.
Same to you. I'm so grateful.